All right, Bitcoin Friday. We're going to look at the 4-hour first, the short time frame, see what's happened over the past day or so. And then we're going to zoom out to the daily, go out to the weekly, what to watch for the weekly close. All the price action of Bitcoin. We're going to look at PA deep dive here. And if you liked the video, thumbs up. And if you want more help navigating this cycle, want help exiting this cycle, consider subscribing through our Patreon group. A lot of more educational items there. Hundreds of hours of TA passed on to you. So check that out if you're interested. Let's get right to it. 4 hours, the 4-hour chart. What has happened? Well, we have a significant red candle here. So this, although not expected to the downside, we knew something was likely coming based on all this price action. You can see pretty clearly, like lower highs here, and you don't even have to draw it from this one. Draw it from the second lower high, right? See, slightly lower. Then you have your low, right, from the red candles, slightly higher lows. Something's got to give here. So who won out, right? Well, for the short term, right, we're only looking at the 4-hour. Bearish more than bullish, right? We can just leave it at that. Okay, so not only do we have that, but now we have, you could argue, this kind of zone here that was support, and as of now is still resistance. We have an underside retest of this blue line, which is the 100 EMA on the 4-hour. So if we fail here, and that's the higher odds, right, because we've broken this relatively significant level per this chart, just a 4-hour, but per TA, right, this says higher odds of holding as resistance. Maybe the EMA 8 even gets rejected. 116 is kind of where we needed to hold based on some higher time frame charts, which we'll look at momentarily. But if we hold this and start to reject lower, what's our next obvious spot? Well, we have the 200 down here at 113.5. But below that, we have our blue zone, which is still good. We're still A-okay there on the macro. The 4-hour, now that we've breached this, I think we have a greater chance than not of hitting this, unless the bulls really fight back here and just kind of bring us back above, I would say 118 between now and the weekly close. We could look at some consolidation. But the silver lining is the longer we can not go back to price discovery, right, and the longer we can stay relatively calm, Bitcoin dominance should continue to fall. Our cycle should lengthen, right? We don't want Bitcoin at 130, 140K in the next couple of weeks, or we're looking at likely kind of a parabolic blow-off move, which is not going to get us into Q4. So this is actually good. Might be hard to think that, but we're starting to see results of that. Bitcoin dominance still slowly falling. And you're seeing, if you scroll down, like you can just see some alts are still actually green. Why is that? As Bitcoin prices are falling, that's not been typical. Well, it's because Bitcoin dominance is dropping, right? We were almost at 70% a handful of weeks ago. Now we're down to 60%. We need to get a 5 in front, and we will start to see altcoins even go more ballistic. You have a handful of ones. I mean, look at Syrup, like it's just randomly up 20%. You have 6%, some down, some up. That's typical. Trading spots. So if we can get some more consolidation on the 4-hour, which is the likelihood between now and the weekly close, maybe look for some more consolidation around the 200, like we're doing now, like a couple candles on the 4-hour chart. Maybe we drop down here, more consolidation. Maybe we fight back there. But until we can close multiple candles back above, I would say 117 at minimum, the odds are down for the short term. If you start to close above 118, then you got to start targeting these highs, right? And then you could put that as a zone. If we get back above 120, like the bulls are back in full control, and let's see what you got. If we also notice way the hell down here at 106, this would be like worst case scenario. Maybe we get like a weekly wick if it just everything goes bad. You have your 600 EMA on the 4-hour in our green zone, which is still relatively okay. Kind of back to our previous price action before we kind of moved up to this new level. I don't really give that high probability, but I could imagine a scenario where we go to, 113, 110, something like that over the next couple of weeks, which again, I think is helping us on the back end. All right. All right. Let's zoom out to the daily. All right. Daily price action. Okay. Today's not been super great for the bulls, but we're battling the 21-day EMA, which is historically relatively significant on any chart, really, right? If you're holding that, you can make your bigger moves. If your moving averages are sorted out, least to greatest, you can make your bigger moves. So really, we need to hold the line here if we want the bulls to stay in relative control. If we close today, tomorrow, Sunday, any days or all days especially, if we close under the 21, say for the next 3 days, I would say we're almost guaranteed to test minimum of the 50-day EMA in this blue zone, right? If you zoom out, right, that was our previous range highs. And, what would be the silver lining there? Is this would be like a throwback. Oftentimes a bullish retest, which is what a throwback is you break out, right? Bullish breakout, and then you have to go back and test those bulls to see if they're true or not. And I would say definitely going to be true at this point, especially if we come down here within the next week, sometime in rest of July. I mean, we have till next Thursday. The next Friday we'll have our August 1st update for Bitcoin, but we'd love to see it updated, and maybe we already back tested that and are going back up. Or we'll find out that we held the line here at the 21 and we kind of just moved back to our sideways consolidation, right? We've seen prices this low, relatively speaking, but you can see that new lower wick. And we still have, depending on when you watch this, we have almost 10 hours until we close this. So let's see what the exact number is. So it's 115,750 as of right now that we need to close today's candle. And we'll see how tomorrow opens. You could imagine a scenario where we kind of hold the line here, and then tomorrow we kind of fake out and then kind of close back up here. And then, we could see one of these numbers again. Or we close under here today, and then we close down even again tomorrow. Then maybe we kind of do one of those, right? So depending on where we close today is where your odds are going to be. If we close under the 21, probably more downside, or at least, sideways blah. Which again is not necessarily bad given that dominance is falling. We could see some altcoins actually do pretty well and if we do blah, right? What we wouldn't want to see for Bitcoin dominance, because what would cause Bitcoin dominance to spike, is if we continue to see these kind of big red candles. Like if we're down at 111 tomorrow or Sunday, like through the weekend, dominance is probably going to actually move up. What causes dominance to fall is boring price action for Bitcoin, which we've been getting. I'm actually relatively surprised that dominance is down a little bit today, given the volatility of today's candle so far. So we'll see how this plays out through the weekend. If it gets relatively boring on Bitcoin and we're about 115 for the next couple of days, something like that, I could imagine we might actually get a 5 in front of Bitcoin dominance and see 50 something for the first time in a long time, since early 2025. That would be fantastic. So daily chart looks okay, but this is where the bulls need to hold. We could, look at last time we breached below it and we little bit of a fake out there. So if we close below it, it's important to watch for the 2 candles. I've been saying for 5 years now, since I've been making YouTube videos, you must wait for confirmation on the double candle, right? This is a perfect example of that. It breached the 21, looks like you're in trouble, and then immediately erased. Okay, so you got to wait for it. Okay, that's the daily chart. Again, don't panic if we do go down here. Could be just a bullish throwback retest before Valhalla in the not-so-distant future, sometime in likely August. Or we hold the line here and go, right? Because let's look at why we could hold the line here and go. The 3-day chart the EMA 8 we're right on right now, and I draw your attention to near textbook bull flag here on a 3-day chart. Look at the closing prices even. This looks really good. I mean, if you can't read the blue, maybe the yellow, right? I mean, that looks like it could go. Now, when should we expect this? Do we have weeks to wait? No, it's got to go like now. Flags need to go and confirm. You don't want this to drag on. Like, this is no longer a bull flag if we're talking about this, next week. Next, we're looking at early August, and we're still around here. This is no bueno, right? Here's that zone on the 4-hour that I've left untouched, right? Relatively insignificant on the 3-hour, but maybe it's no coincidence that we're holding right around the EMA 8 right now. And if we breach this again, like we talked about going to the blue zone here, well, look what's down here. We have the 21 EMA on the 3-day chart, which is, as of right now, at 110. All right, well, time will tell, right? We have till tomorrow till we close this 3-day candle. And again, if we're under the EMA 8 closing, high odds of coming down here. If we hold the line, we've got to wait another candle, right? We could easily just kind of bounce here and confirm a flag, and then just we could be, by early next week, this time next week for sure, we could be in price discovery again if this kind of plays out. Or I would say the odds to me would be we are at price discovery within a next couple of weeks to start out August, or we're down in the blue zone. One or the other, right? Do we know which way? No. But we're giving the odds to the bulls of now because of what's happened in history, right? Uptrend. We're holding the EMA 8. Price action still above all moving averages. We're above our blue sky, rainbows, unicorns, right? This is why these are color coded, right? Caution in the yellow and bear market in the red. So we're still good. And these zones, like I've said before, like these zones can change over time, and I've moved these up. So these are current and new. And again, like as I move these up, as price action goes up, whenever we hit this red zone, like it's confirmation in my book that we're in a bear market. But as of now, we'd have to go back under 100K. We would take out the low wick, we'd breach the 50. We're done. But we're a long ways from that, right? We're above all moving averages, so that's why we can do a little quick snapshot of where we're at, right? So if you're panicking, this is not the time to panic. We're in dreamland right now. We're above the unicorn zone, the blue skies, rainbows, whatever floats your boat there. Okay. 3-day chart looks pretty epic, right? I'll move down to 98, a little bit of a fake out. Catapult trampoline jump right to 123. Bull flag formation back to the EMA 8. Definitely leaning bullish here on this. All right, weekly. Still looks pretty good. Kind of a couple doji candles in a row. Slightly, I would give it like 55-45 bearish last week. Same this week, but we still have 2.5 days until we close this candle. So we'll see how the weekly closes. Again, when you watch this, might be watching this on Sunday. And in which case, like, how does the candle look now? Anything, as long as we're not like, I don't know, 111, 110, that's even still not bad, right? That would just tell us we're going back. This is going to be that throwback that we've been talking about. High probability the EMA 8 would hold based on this whole setup. Let's see, look at the closing price of 111.2 down here. If we somehow really kick the bucket between now and Sunday, we got to hold that. That would be significant. If we're under that, there would be that would be a wrench in the tire spokes, so to speak, or stick in the tire spokes, wrench loosening the gears, whatever. That would be worst case. Now we could easily come back up and close a new all-time high, right? It's not that much of an ask. We're at 119. 119.1 is new all-time highs, right? We're not that far off from that. So just wait for the close. Don't try to predict, right? That's a big mistake people try to do. It looks like it might. No, don't do that. Wait for the candle close. Likely 2 closes is what's needed, but for here, I would guess worst case is down here at the EMA 8 retest. You know, we kind of breached it, hit the 14. Maybe our next one is the EMA 8, right? That tends to happen where you start to hold the higher moving average on the next move. Or we just hold up here. And then this EMA 8 at the Sunday close will likely just kind of continue up a couple, maybe $2,000. And maybe just we have another third week here. And then we start off August with another, Oscar the Grouch rip to the high side. All right. Monthly chart. 6 days left, right? It's important. We'll see if we can close July bullish, which high probability. What would be a real warning sign is if the next 6 days and 10 hours we end up closing red and like we come down here, that would be like a gravestone doji if we close at like 106. That would be interesting. We would want to definitely pay attention to that one if we got a monthly gravestone doji. So that's not out of the realm of possibility, and we definitely want to watch that, but I give that low % chance of happening. Anything green would be a pretty big win. However, even if we come down and close at like 108, 109 even, that's still a little sketchy because we'd have a huge wick. It would go from 123 to sub 110 would be a little bit cautionary. So we'd want to watch for that. Anything north of this high wick is a big win. So the high of 112, if we close at 112 or higher, you should not have any worries, right? That looks really good, right? This is just price discovery volatility if we close at 112 or higher in the next 6 days, 10 hours. All right, well, again, like next Friday, we'll have our answer. All right, any other questions? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. My drawing skills. Again, join our Telegram group. If you want to learn more about this stuff, look at all my indicators. We go in depth on a lot of stuff on a daily basis. And we cover all these indicators, how to set them up, everything, all like that. Just more education, and we'd love to see you in there. Have a great bunch of people. Some have been there for 4 or 5 years. Never left. Long term. How to do it. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Friday.